we are streaming, so that's why I'm going to use the microphone. For those that are at home, hopefully they're going to be able to hear me. They might not be able to see me so great, but they'll be able to hear what's happening. And so we're really happy that you are here. This is, we only had a few things that we've had the auditorium open for. And we've had people come into the building. We've had our play, we had our concerts. So we're back to orientations in place. So this is our first orientation that we have. It's mostly specific for parents, this orientation. We will be having orientations for our students. We typically do one at LIS, and we will have our summer orientation that we'll be putting out lots of information where the kids can come in prior to school starting. All right, so let me get started. I am Mindy Lasky. I am the principal. I'm the proud principal. We call ourselves LMS Nation. So, and you can find us on LMS Nation everywhere. I'll go over that. But a little bit about me. This is I'm finishing my 30th year in Lawrence Township Public Schools. My fans over here. But I joked as Miss Letitia was coming in, I'm like, you can run this one. She's on her third child here in our building, so she can run it all. Yeah, so, and she was a student. So I just called her out, sorry. But just about me, as I said, I've been here for 30 years. I started out as a teacher at the high school. I taught for 10 years. I was the dean of students. I then became the assistant principal at the high school, came over here as the assistant principal, and then I've been the principal, this is where I have to do my math, I think 2000, when did you graduate? 2011, since 2011 I've been principal. So a little bit about me, I'm a graduate of, I like to say Trent State, but the College of New Jersey was where my undergrad was. My master's degree was from Rider, and I just received my doctorate last May. And that group in the center, my friend, you know, Ms. Fisher, Dr. Fisher now, Dr. Adam, Dr. Williams, we are the high school principals, and Dr. Fisher, you know, at LIS, we were all in the program together. I have a niece and nephew that live in Florida, and then I got my godchildren that are here. They're a little older now, but these are my cutie patooties. I'm a swimmer, always been a swimmer my entire life, and I'm a swimmer at the College of New Jersey, and I think of myself that way. And I coached here at the high school for too many years to count, but that's my life. All right, so what you're going to expect from us. This is what you can expect when you come to Lawrence Middle School. We have a caring student environment. We love kids. We want them to be here. We want them to love school. It is hard being in middle school. It is 2 quick years though. 2 very quick years, and we like to have fun. Those of you that got a little glimpse of our video, that's our end of the year video that we had on prior, you can see lots of smiling faces and lots of fun things, and we're starting to get back to those things. We have an excellent faculty. We have a challenging curriculum that you're going to hear about tonight. We value our communication. We put out lots of stuff. You'll get phone dialers, you'll get emails, weekly emails from us. We are all over social media. Our website is usually up to date with whatever's happening. So you're going to get a lot of those things from us when I ask you to read them, please. Okay? Because there's a lot of things and you're going to miss it. And then you're going to say to your child, what's going on? And they don't know. You're going to get half of the story. So make sure you look at our newsletters because that's where the real story is. And I'm going to go through. You know that? Yeah, she's got 2 that have already been through here. And I give you lots of information. And then we also concentrate on that social emotional piece. It's such a big piece of being in middle school. So this is our mission statement. I want you to just take a minute to read this, and then I'm going to quiz you. So take a second to read it. Is there anything that sticks out for you on this? Who wants to be brave? You can put your hand up. Go ahead. Your individual differences. What else? Why did that stick out for you? I hope they do. That's what we hope to do here. So we're gonna try our best to do that. That's why it's in our mission. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Share it with our staff. What else up there? Yeah. Safe. I usually point that out to the kids, right? The safe environment. And that doesn't mean that we're locking the doors and the boogeyman is not, we're holding him back. We're talking about how do we treat each other. Are we safe to be who we want to be the best versions of ourselves when we are here in this building? Do we treat each other with respect? And back and forth, to our staff and our students, to our students, to our students, to parents, to the staff. How are we keeping everybody safe and caring about them? So that's part of that nurturing environment. Yes, we're going to keep the bad guys out, but we also want to be treating each other and being able to be who we want to be. As I said before, middle school is a difficult stage in our lives. Lots of changes happening, and this group has had a lot happen to them before coming here. All right, social emotional, as I mentioned, these are the things that we value. We want to have social awareness. We want to have self-management, which we're going to talk about tonight. Relationship skills. When we talk about relationship skills, we're not talking about romantic relationship skills. We're talking about the relationships, again, with our peers. We're talking about relationships with our parents. We're talking about relationships with staff. We need to teach our kids how to have these conversations, how to have healthy relationships with all of those people. Social awareness, what's happening in our school, but what's also happening in the Lawrence community, what's happening in New Jersey, and what's happening in the world. We need to know these things. And then, do we make responsible decisions? How do we make responsible decisions? And we're going to make mistakes. That's the learning process, right? When we make mistakes, we learn from them, we move on. And that's a big part of middle school. Some things for you that I want to remind you of is that we want you to show an interest, obviously, in your child's education and the program that they have here, but we also want you to encourage independence. That's that self-management. All of your kids have computers. They all will be on Google Classroom. They all have access to Genesis, right? How many of you check Genesis? How many of you check Genesis? I'm letting you check Genesis. How many of you check Genesis more than once a week? Be honest. They can't see your hands at home. Yeah. If you check every single day, parents, guardians, stop doing it. It's not healthy for you. You give me the face, that's good. She's had 2 come through. It's not healthy for you. The grade book is live. I warn you that the grade book is live. And what that means is on Genesis, it may not be accurate. The way that the teacher puts a grade in may not reflect the final grade correctly. Right? Because of time constraints, because of the way that they put it in, they may have an A on a certain assignment, but then they put 2 more assignments in, and then it might go down to a C, then it goes back up to a D, or down to a D, then up to a C, up to an A. All of those things happen. And what happens to you when you check that? And you see that? What happens? Be honest, your stress level goes up. Your blood pressure goes up. Who do you first yell at? Your kid. And then they have to defend themselves. And then they usually start with, you don't understand. That's not how it is. And then you say, yes, I do. I've been in middle school before. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Again, it goes back to responsible decision making, making mistakes, and self-managing. So you've got to manage yourselves as well. Then it becomes, first you yell at them, then you get behind the computer and you yell at me, or you yell at the teacher, right? That's not healthy either, because we need to work together. So that part goes to the next question. Don't rescue your child from the natural consequences. Stuff's going to happen. It's not always going to be good. We're going to be embarrassed sometimes. But as I say to you again, we're going to make mistakes. We learn from them. We all make mistakes. And they're kids. They're 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. Some are 15. Some are 11 when they enter. So lots of things are going on for them. And they say and do things to each other that sometimes we are not proud of. And there are consequences to that. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop loving them. It doesn't mean that we're not going to care about them. It doesn't mean we're going to stop teaching them. It doesn't mean we're not going to make lessons for every single kid in this school. So help us with that. Monitor their technology. That will be our biggest issues. Instagram, Snapchat. If you don't follow your kids, follow them. They have hidden accounts. They have aliases. What do you need to do then? You need to check their phones. You need to monitor their phone. Take it at night. Their phones should not be in their bedrooms when they're supposed to be sleeping. And I know this because when I'm trying to sleep, I'm getting on Instagram the notifications at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when you think they're sleeping. So make sure that you are monitoring your technology, looking through their phone. Look through deleted pictures. I see that face. That's good, Mom. That's good eyes. I like it. I like it. They work. Those eyes work. But you need to check deleted pictures. You need to find all the hidden places. Don't be afraid. If you don't know how to use it, bring it here. We'll help you. Somebody here will figure it out. We have found stuff that hurt my eyes later. All right, praise. Praise. Look for the greatness. Every single one of your children have greatness in them. There's going to be times you are not happy with them. You are raising the roof at home, but you're going to love them even more. So when they are doing the greatness, recognize it. When they're at home and they have done their homework early, thank you for doing their homework early. And I didn't have to tell you. I really appreciate that you did the dishes today. I like the way that you clean that table. Your room looks fabulous. Praise with the positive. Nurture their hearts. You're going to hear nurture heart because we have teachers in our building, staff members, that have been through training, and that's the language that we are starting to use. We want to look for that greatness, and we want to praise. But we want to be specific about the praise. What did they do? What was specific that they did that you really appreciated? And guess what? You're going to see it back. When your kid tells you thank you, have a great day, you kiss them right before they leave the building, we love that. When they come in late or you brought something in for them late, that's going to be a big piece. Oops. A big piece, back to this, don't rescue your child from natural consequences. They forget everything. That doorbell rings consistently. We now have a table out there. You will just drop the things off. We will call your child down. Hold yourself back from bringing it. They didn't bring our computer. It's going to be a tough day. Hold yourself back. You're at work. You're going to be late. They didn't bring their sneakers for gym. Whatever it is, they didn't bring the project. They get it the next day. The world is not going to fall apart. They're going to think twice. Because otherwise, once you start doing it, you're going to be here every day ringing our doorbell. Because they forgot something. And you're going to come to their rescue. All right. So, facts about us. 2 quick years, 7th and 8th grade. They are quick. They might not feel like it, but they are quick. You're going to see lots of physical changes in your child. They're going to get bigger. Their voices are going to change. Lots of things are going to happen when they enter this building until the time that they leave. You're going to see changes in friendships. Friends that they might have been friends with from K through 6 may change because their interests have changed. There's lots of activities here at the middle school. They might get involved in them. Might have grown apart from those friendships. That's okay. You can still be mom friends, right? Even though your kids aren't friends. That's okay. We have math, language, art, science, social studies every single day. We have art, communications, and technology for our 7th graders. We offer world languages, and we're going to hear about some changes that we're making to world language. We actually are in the process of looking at our schedule and our curriculum, so we may be having another meeting to update. But as of right now, our 7th graders take a world language survey course, so that in 8th grade they can make a selection. Our current 8th graders were not able to do that because we were in the pandemic, and so we gave them 2 years of the world language survey, but next year we're going to have our 8th graders taking a full year again. Health and Phys Ed, everybody has it. We have instrumental groups. We have gifted and talented. We have ESL. We have the one-to-one technologies. We got team activities. We have 2 school counselors, 2 psychologists, a social worker, a mental health therapist in the building that we can recommend students and families to. We have special education program, a full special education program. We have academic support for our students in language arts and math. I think we said everything that was on that slide. And you're going to hear about these things tonight. This is how you can get information. We have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. We usually gear the Instagram page to our kids, the Facebook page to our parents. All of our classrooms have Google Classroom. We have a website, which I said there is parent access to Genesis, which on show of hands you all are checking, which is good. We have quick news from the district. We also have a Twitter page as well. We usually do that for some professional things, but you'll see teachers that will tweet out as well. You will get some alert now messages, and we try to put anything that's coming from us. We try to label it LMS so that you know, because I know that you might have kids in other buildings, so you're getting a lot of emails. We have a cardinal code. In our cardinal code, we teach right from the beginning. It's about being respectful, being responsible, and being ready. As you were walking through the building, you may have seen some red signs up. They are in every space, and it talks about what is expected in terms of behavior. What does it mean to be responsible when you come into an assembly and respectful? What does it mean to be ready in a classroom? I got a pencil, I have my computer's charged, my case, it's in the case, all of those things. We go over those things with our kids, and we do that in the first few weeks of school. And then we give out prizes, so kids can earn star tickets, we have bins, and we give out lots of different things on Fridays. T-shirts, we give out pretzels, we give out cupcakes, you name it, we give it all different times throughout the year. We have lots of different celebrations. Times. I see you taking your phones out. Practice this, because they got to get up, right? So 3 a.m. Instagramming, not good. This is a big adjustment. The biggest adjustment is getting to school on time. Not getting to school on time affects attendance, which means you will, even if you get straight A's, if you're not in the seats, you don't move on to the high school. So that's a big thing. I suggest in the summer, a couple weeks before school, you start practicing. You know, get them really tired at night, get them to bed, and then wake them up early. Again, you have to help them. You might need the old-fashioned alarm clocks. They still make them. You don't have to use your phone. They're going to give you the excuse, I need my phone for my alarm. That's why you can't take it, right? That's going to be their excuse. They still make alarm clocks. All right? School day ends at 2:25, early dismissal 11:40, and we usually open the building around 7:25. And they go, as of right now, they go directly to their period 1 class each day. We have a house system, and they are instructional houses: Phoenix, Orion, and Draco. And we have 3 house leaders. You'll learn these names, you'll hear them over and over again. HR house leaders. We're a very competitive school. You probably, when you walked in this door, right where Mr. Rouse is, right above that is the house points. And so we are vying for a house cup for the end of the year, and it's a big trophy. And that means a lot. It's about pride. So you earn points. You can earn points by your academics, did you make honor roll, high honor roll, and so forth. You can get points from being involved in events and activities, how many people show up. You can earn points by wearing your house t-shirt, your Lawrence Cardinal gear, good job. Those are ways that you get your points. And we do it all year long. And at the end of the year, we have a big event, field day. We have field day. We also have a big event to announce the House Cup champion. And everybody's looking forward to that. It's a lot of fun. And you have a sense of belonging as soon as you enter this building. The biggest issue that people are going to say is, I'm not with my friends and I don't ever see them on their house. This building is not that big. They will see their friends. They will see their friends at lunch. There's 100 kids on each house. There's almost 300 kids on each house. They have to know somebody. Because guess what? All those kids that came from LMS are coming here, right? So they have to know somebody. Now, if you've had kids that have been through the middle school, sometimes they end up on the same house that their siblings have been on. If I can remember, sometimes that happens. Sometimes we don't have that happen because there maybe was a conflict. So those are things that I ask if you have. If there's certain concerns that you have, please contact me. If there's students that you do not want your child with, for whatever reason, so we get a list so that you know. We get a list of major conflicts from LIS. So if there's been HIVs or things like that, we are conscious of that as kids are coming here, but we can't make requests. You're not making requests on a teacher, you cannot make requests on being with your friends. You can't make requests on not being with your friends because what happens is you email me, you're like, I need my son or daughter to be with whoever, and then your friend who you think are best friends calls me, I don't want them. And then who now I have to go and do that. But she didn't tell you, and you didn't tell her. That happens. And I'm not telling you either. So, so we get a lot of we get the recommendations from LIS, from the counselors. I talk to Dr. Fisher. We go through all the names. We spend time. We look at academic profiles. You're going to hear from my team in a minute. But we look at their academic profiles. So we go through every kid's grades. We look at all their conduct. We look at their assessments. And that's how we make some of our decisions. Okay? Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw of how it works out. You know, once we kind of look through and we see what's happening, then we can make those other decisions. But these are your go-to people. All right, our instructional supervisors are here tonight to also talk with you about what the academic program looks like. So I want to just get you familiar with some of the names. You know probably some of these people because, as you can see, the first person. Anybody here at Electives Park? Right? Did you have Miss Fagan as your principal? Probably not yet, right? You probably missed her because she was still at LIS, but she's the principal at Electives Park, and she's also the supervisor of music, K through 12. So she's going to be around. You're going to see her at concerts, you're going to see her in the building, coming and observing, and so forth. Ms. Burke, she's here. She used to be a teacher at LES, and she was in middle school. She was also one of my swimmers on my swim team when I was the coach at the high school. But she's the math science supervisor at K6, so you might have seen her at LIS or one of your elementary schools. And she's also the supervisor of technology K through 12. Then there's Ms. Philmeyer. She's not here with us tonight. She's the guidance supervisor at college and career readiness. You got questions about college, careers, all of that, transcripts. She's your person, 504s. She pretty much knows everything. She's in charge of state testing. She's also the HIV district coordinator. So you might have heard of Ms. Philmeyer. Ms. Hayes is the English Social Studies World Language K-6 supervisor. She's also the librarian supervisor for the District K-12. And then this is the person you usually come to see tonight, is the questions are about math. And that's Ms. Candace Cohen. She's the math and science supervisor for grades 7-12. She's also the art supervisor for K-12. And then Dr. Pancos is English, Social Studies, World Language, ESL, that's it. She's pretty much all the other stuff. And these are people that you're going to be familiar with from now until graduation. There she is. Nicole Sasse is our special ed supervisor from grade 7 to graduation. So that's another face that you get to know. And then Mr. Arana is our director of athletics. So if you have athletic questions, he's your go-to. All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Pecos.
I'm very, very excited to welcome you here to the middle school. And it's great to be here in person. Dr. Milosky talked a little bit about the house structure, and she put me on Draco. So while I love all of my teachers, I do see all of my teachers, but I do cheer for Draco a little bit harder than the rest of the staff. So I supervise English. Our English program is 2 years of English. 7th grade students will be studying a unit called Diverse Perspectives. They read a lot of different books, as the name implies. They'll get into some science fiction and some fantasy literature as well during 7th grade. In 8th grade, our students study historical fiction, dystopia, and drama. In our communications class, which is a class that every student takes, they work on developing their public speaking and their interpersonal skills. This year, we were happy to bring back the interview day and have members of the community come in. That's okay. We have members of the community come in to meet with our students and to be interviewed by our students. They did a really wonderful job, and we were really happy to have those community members in. So if you're interested in participating in that event later on, we're very happy to welcome you to the building for that. We also have a seminar class, and the seminar class focuses exclusively on developing students' nonfiction skills. And that class really supports students in all of their other classes, because literacy does not just pertain to English, it pertains to every single subject. So that class is designed for every single student to be successful in every class in their day. We have an English as a second language program. If you are enrolled in that program in 6th grade, we'll be reviewing your access scores and seeing if you still qualify for services in 7th and 8th grade. If you're coming new to the district, we'll be looking at our home language survey, which you fill out upon registration. And we'll be checking your students' level of English proficiency and placing them appropriately into classes. In social studies in 7th grade, we have American history. We teach that course thematically, which means we don't go in chronological order as a typical social studies class would do. So we identify different themes that recur time after time and look at those themes as it affected American history from the 1600s, and actually prior to the 1600s, all the way up until the present day. So we'd like to get students, as Dr. Milosky mentioned, interested in how current events really have their echoes throughout time and how some of the events in the past are shaping us today. In 8th grade, our students will study world history. That class is the first half of the world history course. The second half is in 9th grade, so we try to set up our students for success in 9th grade by providing that class there. And I should mention, as always, your child's academic record, we're looking at their grades, their performance, how well they do on tests, but not just that, more than that, their disposition and their interest in these courses when we make recommendations for our honors classes and our remedial courses at the high school as well. In world language, as Dr. Woloski mentioned, we do have a world language survey in 7th grade that's currently offered. We're talking about adapting the schedule right now. We will be offering a full year of a level 1 class in world language. Your child will select from one of the 3 world languages that we offer. We have Chinese, French, and Spanish offered at the middle school. Those 3 languages are also offered at the high school, and Latin is offered at the high school as well. We want to offer it here at the middle school to put students on the fast track to get them to take an AP class if they should so desire when they get to the high school. When they get to the high school, only 1 year of world language is required. And if you or your family speak a world language or language other than what we offer here at school, yes, they still have to take this in middle school, but we can waive the high school requirement for world language if they test at a novice high level. This year, we're offering our 8th graders, actually 60 of our 8th graders speak a language other than English at home, and we're offering them the opportunity to waive the world language requirement at the high school by testing this year. So looking forward to seeing how our students do. And I believe next is Ms. Pensoja, or is it Ms. Burke? Oh, Ms. Burke, wow, all right, well, thank you so much.
Good evening. It's so nice to see all of you, both everybody at home. We have a fabulous technology program here at the middle school. A lot of what students engage in build on what they've been exposed to at the 4, 5, 6 level or LIS. We have, as you would imagine, those 21st century skills of collaborating and communicating and engaging in innovation and problem solving and creative design solutions. All of that's happening all the time in that class. Some of the projects that your students will, your children will engage in are projects that are centered around web design, a lot of robotics and programming, 3D printing, digital design, and all the projects that the students engage in all have a connection to the real world. There's a real world application and hands-on components to everything they do. A lot of times when I step in the room to see what's going on, they don't even see that I'm there because they're so immersed and engaged in what they're doing and what they're learning. And also, as you would imagine, technology changes at a rapid pace, so we're constantly looking each and every year to see how we can do better or what we can do to be more innovative and more creative. So I think your child will really, really enjoy the technology experiences that we have here in middle school. I'll turn it over.
All right, I'll be back for the math stuff. We're going to talk about art. So we have an art program here, obviously. It's where your kids can find a passion. I know one of my children graduated Lawrence High School, and upon there, he gravitated to the arts. So this is an area where a lot of times kids come in and we start feeling their passion. We do a lot of fun projects, and I can't say we do the same projects every year, but we do some pottery work this year. We're really excited to get into the painting. It's a little hard to do painting virtually. So we did painting because our students haven't had experience with that. They do paper mache work. They have a vast variety of projects that they do while they're here with in our art program with Ms. Richardson. So we look forward to seeing them. They're usually excited. It's nice to visit with your students when I'm in the classrooms. We'll call it a non-academic class. You get to see a different side of them, and the talents that they have are just amazing. And we're here to foster those talents for them. And again, Ms. Richardson does a great job with that.
So I'll just add, I mean, we can, down here in the hallway, there's some artwork, but also this picture to the left here. This was last year when we, in the afternoon, we had kids coming in, and through a generous donation from the Lawrence Township Education Foundation, our kids were able to do a beautification project. And you'll see that on your way out. When you came down the stairs, you couldn't see it on your way up. And then look in those staircases to the left. Once you go by, you'll also see some of the fabulous artwork that our kids developed and created on their own. Music. We have concert band, we have jazz band, we have orchestra, we have chorus. As we said before, we're working on some schedule changes possibly. And so we also have a performing arts class as well. That's for 8th graders only. But we may see some twists to these names, but it's going to be pretty much, we will be offering band and orchestra in some fashion next year as well as chorus. So these are some co-curriculars that we have. Obviously, the band, the orchestra, jazz band, but we have the performing arts for 8th grade. We have a Triad Honor Society. We have a fabulous drama club we just put on until the junior. We have special events which we have not been able to have since the pandemic, but we're hoping that we'll be able to bring back our annual Hershey Park trip that our kids get to go on, and they would once out of the 2 years. We haven't had that trip in the last 3 years, but hopefully that will come back. We unfortunately were not able to have our arts festival this year, but that's something that will come back. We are part of the LTEF Arts Fest, which is this weekend. So it's all over town, so if you have not heard about it, make sure that you look into that. We have an art club, as I said, after school, and then these groups all do community work as well. All right, now I'm gonna sign.
See, I told you I'd do that. So, we're going to start with the science first, because it's a little easier, it's a little shorter presentation for our science. So they're here for 2 years, you get 2 years of science. What we do is we divide the science between grade 6 to grade 8. So there's an earth and space science, which they do in 6th grade. Then when they come here to the middle school, we do a year 1, year 2 curriculum. So all of our students, 7th and 8th grade next year, will participate in the life science curriculum. Then the following year in 8th grade, your students will be getting the physical science curriculum. In life science, it ranges from cell structure and function, we do some ecology, some environmental work, it touches on pollution, biomes, things of that nature. In their 2nd year, we do a little bit of chemistry and physics, is what it amounts to, a little study on waves, learning how those cell phones, as Scholastic says, keep away from them work and things of that nature. So wraps up what our programs cover. They are aligned to the New Jersey Student Learning Standards, which are mirrored off of the national science standards. They're called the Next Generation Science Standards. So let's move on. Put your seatbelts on. Please stay seated. Keep your hands in the car at all times during this ride. So here we go. Unlike other academic subjects, we do have 2 different levels of math. We have Math 7, which is our at-level math program. Again, it is aligned to New Jersey standards and the national standards. We also offer a class called Math 7 Accelerated. That covers all of the 7th grade standards plus 1/2 of the 8th grade standards. If you're in that class, you don't get extra school time to do all that work. We do that all in class. So it is a very rigorous curriculum. Then, when we move on to 8th grade, kids will have the choice of placement into 8th grade math, again, which is our at-level, or they take the middle school Algebra 1 curriculum. Algebra 1 is one of the graduation requirements dictated by the state of New Jersey. It wasn't my choice, it was the state's choice. So when your students are in Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and this time of the school year, of their 8th grade year, they will take an algebra assessment, which can qualify or not qualify them for high school graduation. So it is a requirement, there is a proficiency level. Now, if students don't hit that, we have lots of safety nets to get them there. It's not a one and done thing. We're right beside them until they get that diploma. So there are avenues, but just understand the gravity of what comes with that course at the end of the year. We also have academic support instruction, and we also have seminar. So what we did with our seminar math classes, and right now they run in a semester format, 1/2 year every day, is we looked at this vast 7th and 8th grade curriculum, and we said, how can we ease up the regular math class, the standard math class? And we pulled units such as geometry. We also do liking out, we do some scientific notation, geometry, statistics. So those are things that we could pull out of the standard 7th and 8th grade curriculum and address in this semester format, which allows us to kind of keep a good pace, but not rush to get it all done in the standard classroom. It's a very valuable math class, and we often hear students come back to us and say, the only stuff that was on that test is what we did in seminar math. Now, we all know that's not true, but the students do recall and realize the topics that they learned there and when they see them on their standardized test. So it's a great test to have. Okay. So let's get back to science now. So science, CERs, claim evidence reasoning, they're doing it at the intermediate school. We continue with that. We like to do a lot of hands-on projects. We do have a text resource. We have a classroom set. Your students will all have access to the textbook online. As needed, we do have copies for home for students that require that. And again, we're going to be in the life science curriculum for next school year. All right. So, how do I get into that coveted Math 7 accelerated course? We look at data. And I know that sometimes we hear my student doesn't test well, but we look at multiple data points. So what are we looking at? We are looking at their trimester average over in the 6th grade. And believe it or not, just today I sent an email out to the current 6th grade teachers, as Dr. Molaski shared. Over the past 3 weeks, I have been combing through the data. I have looked at every child's test data and classroom performance. And I have made a recommendation for a math class. And now the 6th grade teachers are reviewing that, and they're going to share with me if they feel that the placement that I provided, looking at data alone, and their experience working with your child, if it is the best math placement for them. So we do have to have some indicators, okay? So what are those indicators? We're looking for 90% average to get in from Math 6 to Math 7 accelerated. We are looking at iReady data. We took iReady in the winter, mid-year. We're asking that the child scored at a mid-year level. We're asking for placement into Math 7 accelerated to be at level where they currently are. So, not asking for we're not asking for something extremely high. We're not saying only kids at high level or late. We're saying, you know what? You're a mid-level, at-level kid. Yeah, we're gonna put you in that. You have an opportunity for Math 7 accelerated. Within the iReady score, there's 2 indicators, because math has different strands, different pieces. We're looking at algebraic reasoning, because the 7th grade curriculum is going to prepare them to take algebra. And we're also looking at something called number and quantity. How does your student relate to number? Do they understand how number interacts with each other? So those are 3 indicators, the 4 indicators that we're looking for. Teacher recommendation, administrator recommendation. Do you need to have all of those numbers? 3 out of 4. So we're not even asking for perfection in the data point cutoffs. We're saying meet 3 of those 4. And again, there's potential for placement. If you're currently in Math 6 accelerated and going into Math 7, we are looking at the same indicators because it's an accelerated course. We are a little more lax with the marking period average or the trimester average on that. And that's our recommendations for there. Now, suppose you really want to be in Math 7 accelerated, but your indicators didn't indicate that it was the best placement. You do have opportunities to challenge that placement. So, I'm not even sure if the next slide has that on there. I can't remember. Yep, so we want to challenge. It's okay, but we are going to have to give another assessment. So, we are going to review all the data that we reviewed before, because sometimes I look at so many numbers and so many data points. Unfortunately, I do make mistakes, not intentionally. So we're going to look at the averages for the school year, because by this time the school year's done, so we have a little more data. We're going to look at that winter and spring iReady data score. We're going to ask your child to take a Math 7 placement test. When students come into Lawrence, they take a math placement test, so we know where to place them. We're just gonna ask them to take the same test. I don't know what the cut score is. I don't know what the cut score is because every summer, we wait for the students to take the test and see what they get. And then we use the real data in front of us to make a decision on what our cut score is. That cut score could be as high as an 85, it could be a 70, depending on how students are performing. So I can't tell you what that cut score is because I don't have the data to help you with that. We then look at it again, but the good thing with the placement challenge is, again, we'll have that spring eye ready, and we can hold off pretty long until we'll get the NJSLA grade 6 math assessment score as well. So I have a little more data to use at that point. So you do have the option to challenge if the placement isn't where you might have wanted it to be. All right, so let's look at what all these courses mean. You can read that. Yes, you can go from Math 6 to Math 7 Accelerated. And if you're in Math 7 Accelerated because you were recommended and maybe it's not the best fit, we can change that placement to Math 7. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in moving to a different math class if needed. So those are the different pathways. Now you're thinking, where do they need to be because they're going to go to high school? And so I bet you I have that on the next slide. There you go. So if you're looking where my student ends middle school and enters the high school, what are potential pathways for math placement and what that looks like? It's right there. You want to accelerate in the high school years, we can certainly help you with that. But a student coming out of Math 8, Algebra 1 or Algebra 1 honors at the high school, Geometry or Geometry honors, Algebra 2 honors, then an optional 4th year of math because the state of New Jersey says at the high school level, they need 3 years of math to graduate. So if you can just go across and look at that, there are similar course sequences to this right here in our Lawrence High course offering booklet too. And there are a lot of things for that 4th year of math, a lot. So if you want to advance placement after 8th grade, we can definitely help you with that. For example, some of our Algebra 1 students will take geometry over the summer and place into Algebra 2 when they enter the high school. So there are options to do that prior to getting to high school, but only between the end of your 8th grade year and the beginning of your 9th grade year. There are options to enroll in 2 math classes at the high school if you want to end up in a different math sequence. We strongly advise that be Geometry and Algebra 2. And there's also the option to do summer work to advance to a different math class in the fall during your high school year. This is called Option 2, and you get one Option 2 for your high school career in any academic area. So that's what we have. I think I'm done now, I think. Oh, summer math practice, yes. We are anticipating something. We're very lenient on when it's due, if there is a summer math practice assignment, and we have been making it due into the school year, because we don't want anybody starting the school year behind because they wanted a break in the summer. So usually it's due 2 to 3 weeks into the school year, but for those of you in August, as you're practicing that get up early routine, or thinking, well, let's practice doing some school work routine, you have that availability to you. But it's not something that's due on the first day of school. We're not doing that. All right, so look for that. It'll be posted on the district website and the middle school page. So, thank you for your time.
That's a lot, right? And I think a big important piece of that is, as you heard, there is no shame. And you also need to talk with your child about what they want, right? If they're going to be stressed out because they have to get to a certain level in that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. If you're just arguing with them the whole time, they're not happy, you're not happy. And there's time for that maturity, there's time for that catch up. So if you have questions, please reach out to us, we can talk you through it. But your kid has to also be motivated to move at a certain level as well, besides just having the ability, right? So health and PE, all of our kids take health and PE, it's a state requirement, it's a high school requirement. Every student, why are you laughing, why are you smiling? Okay. It is a high school requirement to take health and PE, it's a state requirement for so many minutes. These are the topics that we talk about in Health 7, wellness, nutrition, first aid, personal growth, community health, refusal skills, alcohol, tobacco, other drugs, human relationships, and sexuality. In 8th grade is wellness, mindfulness, mental health, health triangle, that's the physical, social, emotional, mental. Again, drugs and alcohol, human relationships, and sexuality, and more community health. We got a lot of health. It's good. We have a lot of healthy conversations. We talk about all the things. And then they come home and they try to quiz you to see if you know all the things. Because that's what we're doing right now. So, we have that? Yeah, okay. We have 2 8th grade parents here, so let's check in with them and see if they've had questions. That's our gym. And we, again, another fabulous Lawrence Township Education Foundation grant where we got yoga materials, we had Romy come in and get our students, work with our students. We're getting back to that. We are able to get onto the turf fields and have gym class outside, so we're fortunate for that. And for our athletes, we have a number of sports. The biggest thing is making sure you have the physical paperwork. So if your child wants to be involved in any athletic program, you need to make sure you go to the LMS nurses website, on our website, and get all of the paperwork. You have to register, you got to take physical paper to your doctor, you have to bring the physical paper in. So all students must have a current physical on file. It is good for the entire year. So I suggest if they are going to be athletes for now until they graduate, I would try to have your physicals in the summer, so that way their fit is good for the entire year. Shaking her head, she's got lots of athletes in her house. These forms are available at LTPS Athletics. Playing sports requires a commitment. The practice is Monday through Friday. Usually we get out at 2:25 now, so practice usually starts at 2:35 and goes to about 4:35. It's a 2-hour practice. Games may be done at like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. Winter, our B basketball team usually starts around 5:15, probably goes to about 6:15, 6:30 on game nights. That's probably the longest. With baseball and softball, it just depends on how long those innings are going to last, right? So some games can be short, and some are going to be a lot longer. It all depends. So we usually start our sports on the first full week of school, so that Monday, September 12th, I looked on the calendar, it looked like the date we most likely will start. But we'll put out information that'll be on our website. These are the sports that we have. By the way, all the pictures that we have on here are our kids, right? These are our kids. So athletics in the fall, boys and girls soccer, field hockey, cross country. Cross country has no cut policy. Soccer, we do cut, because there's only so many kids can play at a time. So if we have 60 kids come out, 60 kids aren't playing, right? So we do have to make cuts in certain sports. Boys and girls basketball, same thing. Only 5 can play at a time. You got 60 kids come out, we usually have to cut a majority of them. Cheerleading and wrestling is no cuts. Spring, boys and girls track, that's a no cut policy, and then softball and baseball are also tryouts. We do have intramurals. The things that they like are basketball and volleyball, so we offer them. We have basketball in the fall, volleyball after the winter season, and that's a shorter period. We are doing our student versus staff volleyball game. The kids that were involved in the intramurals are the kids that get to play in that student versus staff. The same thing for the basketball student versus that basketball game. The kids that are involved in the interview basketball get to play in that game against the staff. So those are the things that we have to offer there. We have lots of co-curricular things. This is pre-pandemic, but we used to go on some trips. We had an 8th grade trip. Hopefully, something will come back. I'm not sure what it will be yet. We had a geography bowl. We had obviously kids in music. We got potty in the face. You see our mindfulness. We got minute to minute. This group went to the National Science Convention in Washington, D.C. Again, Lawrence Township Education Foundation. I keep saying that name. Hopefully, you're donating. Clubs and activities. In these pictures, you're going to see our Science Bowl kids in the red shirts. They're having a little moment, a little mindfulness moment there. Matilda Jr., this is WLMS in the bottom corner. And that was our interview day. Those were some community members. You can see Chief Florio was there interviewing our kids. But these are the majority of our activities that we have. We have student council, yearbook, school store, science, math, Model UN is for 8th grades only. We have a homework club after school. We have the art club, which we mentioned, WLMS, which is our announcements. There's a social club. We have Special Olympics, some after-school workshops. As I said before, we have the drama, and we're hopefully going to be bringing back our ambassadors. Encourage your child to be involved in something. These all meet after school. Student council, Mrs. Kramer in the back is our student council advisor. They do a lot of community service. They do a lot of kindness projects for our building. The yearbook is Miss Corey. We always need people for the yearbook. I'm going to put a cell out there, and you want to buy a yearbook at the end, so we need help with it. Like I said, science would be at Math Week is Mr. Morales right here. And so doing more math contests after school, and that they can also compete on a varsity level when they get to the high school. There is such a thing as Math Week. And you take lots of math tests, right? Yeah. Every week. Some co-curriculars, some things that we do. That bottom corner is our house relays. That is our minute to win it. We usually do that before Thanksgiving. That top picture, it looks like our wrestling team from our awards night. We do marking period awards nights after each marking period, first, second, third. We don't do it in the fourth one here. We've been doing them virtually. But we honor all of our kids that are involved, and we recognize them because we want to praise, right? We want to keep reminding them all the greatness that they have. So we have house relays, we do minute to minute, we have spirit days, we have marking period awards, we hopefully will have dances again. This year we just had a bowling trip. We're going to have a 7th grade picnic. We haven't had career day, we had it virtually last year. Not this year, we work on mindfulness, we had family book nights, we have Friday prize days, arts festival, hopefully all of these things will be coming back. Field day, we do student of the month as well. So there's lots going on here at the middle school. We try to make it fun. This is where you're going to get information. You can look in the quick links. We'll have an orientation website. We usually have some type of hub. But in the center where it says school news, you see it says Middle School 101 presentation. I will eventually put this recording up so that anything you missed, you'll be able to listen to it again. But in that school news section in the center of our website, usually is all of the information. We put our newsletters there, and any up-to-date stuff goes there. All right. That's all I got, except one more thing. I do want to say this, because I was listening to Ms. Canisola when she says, she makes mistakes. We are not perfect. I'm going to tell you that. There are going to be times that you are not going to be happy with me. I'll be honest, I might not be happy with you either. I'm going to tell it like it is. I am very open, I'm very transparent. We're here for you. We're going to work through things. We're going to admit when we make a mistake and things do not go right. But we're going to make the effort. And we're going to reset. Right? We're going to reset. We're going to make up, and we're going to move forward. All right? Because that's what a community does. And we want you to be successful. We want kids to enjoy this school. We want to do the best for you. We're here to serve. And we want to bring out the best in your children. I forgot, did you want to say anything or you're good? All right, so if anyone has questions for Nicole, she doesn't have any specialty courses. Hers is mostly IEP development. But there's all of the things you heard are in her program as well. But if you need any questions, Nicole is here. Did I miss anything? All right, it's question time. So, questions. All right, go ahead.
What can we expect in terms of homework?
Oh, good question. So I knew that was coming, and I was going to say it before you actually, because I walked over to Mr. Morales and I go, Mr. Morales, I know they're going to ask this question pretty much. How much homework do you get? Mr. Morales is one of our math teachers. He's studying to become an administrator, so like, that's why he's here tonight. And he's like, pretty much 4, you said to me 4 days out of the week, and then I asked him, I go, how much is it? How much homework? How long should it take? And what was your answer, Mr. Morales? Because I want to make sure that they believe me. 10 to 15 minutes. He's a math teacher. He teaches Math 7, Accelerated, and Math 8. Your child has him. And does she have a lot of homework in his class? All done in school. Okay? So that may or may not happen. But it should not be taking them hours. There should be no crying and tears over homework. You are allowed as a parent to stop them. I give you the permission. And then what you should do is you email the teacher and say, we had a meltdown tonight, whatever happened, can we have a conversation, right? We gotta work together. All right? So that's typical math. They're gonna get homework. They gotta practice, right? So, some of our math teachers don't get any homework because if they're gonna go home and do the same problems over and over again wrong, and we practice wrong over and over in frustration, how does that help us, right? So you're gonna hear a lot about skills. How do we help our kids navigate life, navigate talking to their teachers, doing their homework, and all of those things. All right? What else? Other questions? Feel free. You don't have to have permission to leave, but thanks for coming. Any other questions? Yeah, you can go. Yeah, don't apologize. That's okay. There's people that hung up on me at home already, so it's good. Yeah.
How does communication work between the teachers and parents? Like sometimes you don't get all the information. It's always good.
Right.
What did you do today?
Yeah, you have to ask specific questions, right? Well, what was that stuff?
Sometimes there's
Yes.
like I know you guys are supervision.
So some teachers are going to overflow with you information, right? You're going to get a book for some teachers. I'm going to just be honest. Other teachers are going to get that good, right? If you can as a parent sign up for their Google Classroom. It's hard to navigate that because you're not in the class, right? So you're only seeing part of the picture, so you don't know necessarily what happened. So I would suggest is first you try to ask your child. Second is to check either Google Classroom or Genesis. There are on Genesis what's called course pages. Some teachers will use course pages to post assignments. They may or may not. Okay, you'll find out at back to school night their policy. And if you can't find it there, then you email the teacher, right? If you're not getting the communication that you're looking for, that's when you reach out. We have the house leaders, we have the guidance counselors, and they can kind of help you navigate the teacher and kind of figure out what do you actually need, and then we'll meet in the we'll figure that out for you. Good question. What else? How are my students there? What kind of questions do you have, Marty? Come on. Oh, as we melt down in the seat, I can still see you sitting there. Makes it worse when you do that, because I'll just pull you out more. That's why we have communications class, exactly. Thanks for coming. Anybody else? All right, I'm sure there's people at home that have questions. If you want to ask a question privately, that's fine. We will be here. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. We're looking forward to getting to know you and your children. So welcome to the middle school. Welcome to LMS Nation. And have a great end of your school year to everybody. All right, thanks so much.